Today, a long-promised video comes to life. Don't go away. Hello friends and welcome to Fat Guy Productions. I'm Paul, coming to you as always from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. Today, I'm finally bringing you the long-awaited video on decals. This is a big topic, so I've decided to do this in a minimum of 2 videos, with today's covering the different ways you can make your own decals at home, their costs, their individual pros, their cons, all of that. We have a lot of ground to cover, so let's jump right in. Decals can be so important to the success of a project, be it a die cast or a plastic model, or virtually any other decorating craft you can think of. Commercially available decals often leave us short, but fortunately we do have several options for getting our decals made our way. Of course, there are many vendors out there making all types of decals and selling them in places like eBay. Many of these vendors will do custom work for you, but these sources can bring their own bag of troubles with them. In working with a vendor, you can find all kinds of issues with the artwork and final sizing of the decals, as you're most likely doing this through emails. While most vendors offer fair pricing, they have to make a profit, and as such, cost can be an issue. Many of you have seen these. These are packs of decal paper made by testers, and they're made to be printed at home with your inkjet printer. This is super convenient and relatively affordable. This pack is transparent, meaning that the carrier is clear. This causes a grip of issues as the ink from the printer is not opaque. So, applying these to a colored item can cause the colors of the decal to change dramatically or to disappear completely. They're really only effective against a white or possibly silver background. Testers also makes paper like this with an opaque white carrier. It solves that color problem, but it has its own issues. Unless you want a white border around your decal, you'll need to cut the decal out right along the artwork's edge, which in some cases can be virtually impossible. You can work around this by applying a border that matches the color of the project you're doing, but often this isn't possible or it doesn't work well, and it just doesn't look right. Finally, both of these papers need a coating of a protective clear coat. They prevent the water-soluble inks from the printer from running when you drop the decal in water. This adds time and cost to these, but it's a necessary evil. All in all, these can be an effective way to make simple decals for home at a relatively low cost. Not perfect by any means, but serviceable. Another option many don't know about is similar to the inkjet paper, but for a laser printer. If you happen to have a color laser, you can print decals on these papers made by a company called Sunnyscopa. I'll leave a link down below for these papers. These laser papers have all the same pros and cons as the inkjet papers, but they do have one big leg up on them. They don't need to be clear coated. Laser toner isn't water soluble, so it won't be impacted when you drop the decal into the water. Again, these papers can be an easy and affordable way to make simple decals in your own home. I recently moved to a printer made by Alps, the Alps 5000. Alps printers use a dry ribbon that is transferred to the substrate by heat. These printers are perfect for printing decals in the home. They can print spot colors, metallics, foils, CMYK, and most importantly, even white. Before you get all excited though, there are some huge obstacles to using an Alps. Beginning with the fact that Alps doesn't even make these printers anymore. Not to worry, all isn't lost. In the face of the printer's resurging popularity, there is a robust market for refurbished printers and supplies. So it is possible to get an Alps printer, but at a cost. I got my 5000 for about $500. It can print everything including the foils, which lower level Alps printers like the 1000 can't, but the cost didn't stop there. As an old Mac guy, I needed to buy a junker PC laptop to drive the printer. That cost me another couple $100. The supplies are spendy. Is it worth it? Well, that's completely subjective and up to your own personal needs. For me, with a YouTube channel that does these kind of projects, it was very worth it. And I had to go with the Alps printer because it could handle foils. I do a lot of fire vehicles, and I wanted to be able to print metallic gold. But only you are going to be able to answer the question, is an Alps worth it for you? Finally, the Alps printers can be really fussy to get up and running satisfactorily, as they are based on outdated technology. You'll need to make friends with that. I do all my art on my Mac, and then I move the files to the PC on a flash drive. Still, I haven't been able to stop the PC from upscaling everything I print, so I have to reduce the prints to get them to be the right size. It's a real pain in the posterior. Finally, there's a new option for us. It really excites me, so much so that I actually have gotten rid of my Alps and bought this. MicroMark, working closely with HP and a manufacturer of a unique white laser printer toner, was able to bring them together in an optimal combination of laser printer, toner, and blank waterslide decal material for creating high quality, opaque decals. While it's still pricey, and a tech I have just barely tried, costs around $690 for everything, it seems to be an exciting new way to print great decals at home, taking full advantage of today's computers and artwork applications. It's my intention to do an entire video on this setup very soon, but for now, I am so far super happy with it. You'll be hearing a lot more about it in the very near future as I highlight it in its own video. For now, let's just say I'm excited. There are some other options out there, some on a much higher end, but with a much higher price tag. And to the best of my knowledge, these are the most viable options for a hobbyist out there, with the HP or the Alps coming in at the top of my recommendation list. Here's how I broke these printers down. I used a 5-star system with 5, of course, being the best. You have to understand that these are my scores. Everyone will score these options differently. Starting with cost, you sure can't beat the value of printing decals on an inkjet. For me, when I used the Alps, I also had to buy a PC laptop to drive the printer, and that costed a star. If I hadn't had to do that, it would have been 3 stars for cost. As to output quality, this takes into account color and resolution, and very importantly, can it print white? Again, my lack of knowledge with the PC platform hinders the score of the Alps, but even if you're a skilled PC person, the max resolution of the Alps is far less than the others. I bumped the inkjet down simply because of the thin inks, which honestly limits its real usefulness to printing an opaque transfer. For versatility, the hands-down winner is the Ghost printer. Not only can this printer serve as a decal printer, but it can also be a great everyday home printer. While a regular laser may not handle decals as well, you can get them with scanners and even fax machines. The Alps is so difficult to use, at least for me. The supplies are expensive, and it was really just a single-purpose printer. And the Inkjet, while a versatile home printer, it totally suffers as a decal printer. As to special features, the Alps has the edge in my mind, as it will print white, CMYK, spot colors, foils, metallics, and it can even print as a dye sublimation photo printer. I grade the Ghost down because I will really miss the ability to print foils, but it is very strong in the fact that it, of course, can print white, but it also can print with heat transfer sublimation inks, fluorescence, and also do heat transfers using its standard toners. As for usefulness, to me the Alps was so hard to use successfully, it just wasn't worth it. I never wanted to take it out. I kept it stashed away since it was really only good for decals, so not only did I have to set it up every time I wanted to use it, then when I had it out, it was just too hard to use. I know I've mentioned ease of use as a negative, so let's talk about ease of use as a positive. A plain old laser or inkjet is so ingrained in our daily lives, they're really very easy to use and everybody is familiar with them. Even the Ghost printer needs to do toner swaps, and it also raises concerns of registration. You just can't beat simplicity. As to the final appearance, this is super subjective. With the white background, higher resolution, and dense toner applications, nothing beats the Ghost in my humble opinion. The standard laser and inkjet lose out as they can't print white, and this is so important in printing decals. Finally, one of the biggest downsides of the Alps is that it suffers from its lower resolution. This is a real drawback. At the end of the day, making decals at home can be a real game changer no matter what your purpose is. And it's a step you should strongly consider, even if it's just simply keeping some inkjet paper at home and learning how best to work with it, or buying an Alps or one of these HPs with the white toner. I hope this video has some value to you. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up and click subscribe. Make sure you click the bell so you'll be notified anytime I release a new video. If you have any questions or comments, and I'm sure you will on this topic, go ahead and ask them down below. I'll do my best to answer them. I'm going to head out now. I hope you have an amazing day, filled with the joy of trying new techniques and learning other ways to get stuff done. Until next time, this is Paul from Fat Guy Productions saying be good.